Welcome back, guys. This is week 4, video 2. In this video, we are covering still angles. We're going to talk about measuring angles that aren't on the 10s or aren't even on the 5s, okay? They're off the 5s and they're off the 10s on the protractor. And we're also going to cover some tricky angles, okay? Angles that are what I call up in the air instead of having one ray that's on the 0 line, okay? We're going to cover that in this video as well, all right? Starting off, measuring to the exact degree. Okay, so the first angle they want us to measure is this angle right here. Okay, so just by looking at that angle, I can tell something right away. Here's 90 degrees right here. Okay, I can tell that this angle is closed and less than 90 degrees just by looking at it. Okay, so that's going to tell me this is an acute angle. Okay, I know that acute angles are less than 90 degrees. Okay, so when I'm looking at my protractor and trying to figure out which numbers to use, I'm looking for the numbers that are less than 90. Well, 60 and 70 are less than 90, okay? 120 and 110 are greater than 90, so I wouldn't be using the inside numbers. Since this angle is open to the left, I'm using the top numbers or the outside numbers, okay? So we're using the top, okay? We have one ray that goes across that 0 line going to the left. That's why we're using the top numbers, okay? The other ray is in between 60 and 70. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that in here. But it's not halfway between 60 and 70. If it was, it would be 65. Okay, but it's 2 tick marks past 65. So if I take 65 and add 2 to it, I get 67. So this angle right here has a measure of 67 degrees. Okay, now moving over to this angle right here. Okay, I'm measuring the distance between those 2 rays. Okay, all right, so this time, here's my 90 degrees. There's 90. This one is open just a tad more than 90 degrees. That makes this angle an obtuse angle, okay? Obtuse angles are greater than 90 degrees, okay? So if I look up here, I'm looking for the numbers that are greater than 90, okay? 80 and 90 are not greater than 90. Okay, 100 would be greater than 90, okay? So from here, we know that we're going to use the bottom numbers because this angle is open to the right, and I need the bigger number, bigger than 90, okay? So it's between 90 and 100. So I'm going to start at 90 and I'm increasing as I go toward 100, okay? This one is just a little bit before the halfway mark, about 1 degree before 95, which would be 94 degrees. It would be a 94 degree angle, and this is an obtuse angle. Got to be careful with these because at first glance it might look like it's a 90 degree angle, but it's not. It's 4 degrees greater than a right angle. Okay, that makes it an obtuse angle. Even a 91 degree angle would be obtuse. Now, if we were going the other direction, an 89 degree angle would be an acute angle. Okay, so you got to be very careful and count those tick marks carefully. Don't just assume that it's a 90 degree angle. Okay, so we're going to practice some more down here. I'll fold my paper down. All right. All right, so first let's check, and this is the angle symbol, AZN. AZN. Okay, so this ray is on 0. Okay, so we're starting at 0. Okay, this one comes way out here. Okay, and I can tell by looking at this angle, I'm a little off there, that this is an acute angle. It's less than 90 degrees because here's 90 right here. There's 90. This is less than 90, okay? So that tells me that I need to use the numbers that are less than 90, okay? So if I look at these numbers, this is 50, this is 130. 130 is not less than 90. 50 is. Okay, so I want to use the outside numbers. Since it's open to the left, I'm using the outside or the top numbers. Okay, so it's one tick mark before the 50. Okay, so one mark before that would be 49. So angle AZN is going to be 49 degrees, and it's between 40 and 50. Okay. Now let's talk about angle, let's do this one. Angle AZL, okay? So here's A, Z, and L, okay? So if you just kind of disregard everything else and look at this angle, you can tell that that one's opened more than 90 degrees. Here's 90, this one's opened more than that. Still open to the left, it is open more than 90, okay? So we want the numbers that are greater than 90 when we're trying to find the measure of AZL. Okay, so if I look at the numbers on my protractor, the numbers on the outside are greater than 90, not the numbers on the inside. So I'm using these numbers out here. Okay, and it's in between 110 and 120. So my answer needs to be in between those two numbers. Okay, halfway between 110 and 120 would be 115. Okay, but you notice here our ray is one tick mark past 115, which would be 116 degrees. Okay, now angle SZL. Okay, so we have SZL. SZL is right here. Okay, now this one is open to the right. Okay, the other two were open to the left. Okay, so here's 90 degrees. This angle is closed less than 90 degrees. That means it's an acute angle, okay? So when I'm trying to figure out the measure of this angle, I want to use the numbers on the protractor that are less than 90, okay? These numbers are not, these are, okay? So this time I want to use the bottom numbers, okay? Now, the bottom numbers, our ray hits between 60 and 70. Notice the numbers are going backwards. They're getting bigger as you're going to the left, okay? So for SZL, we're in between 60 and 70 degrees, okay? Well, this one is just one tick mark in front of 65 degrees, which would make this 64 degrees, okay? Now angle AZE. AZE is right here. That's a huge angle. Here's 90. This one is open. I can't even get my hands open that far. Way, way farther than 90 degrees. This one is almost 180. It's almost a straight angle, okay? This one is very large. That one is an obtuse angle. So we need numbers that are greater than 90. Also, it's open to the left. So we know we're using the outside numbers or the top numbers, okay? So that's going to be these numbers right here. It's in between 170 and 180. Okay, and it looks like we are one tick mark past 170, which would be 171 degrees. Okay, now angle SZN. Okay, so I have SZN. Okay, this one is open to the right. Okay, here's 90 degrees. This one is open more than that. Okay, it's open greater than 90, which we know is an obtuse angle. Okay, so when I'm measuring angle SZN, I need to use the numbers on the protractor that are greater than 90. Well, this 50 is not greater than 90. Okay, these numbers down here are. Okay, and this ray is in between 130 and 140. Okay, it's in between 130 degrees and 140 degrees. Okay, and it looks like it's one tick mark past 130. Okay, remember, we're getting bigger as we're moving to the left. So this is going to be 131. Okay, so remember, it has to be between 130 and 140. 131 is between those two. Okay, you don't want to try and count backwards and say that this is 129 because that's not how these numbers are going. Okay, they're getting bigger as you go this way. Okay, got my little degree symbol. All right, now angle SZE. Okay, so we have SZE. All right, you can see this one is a teeny, 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 tiny angle. That's a acute angle. It's very small. Okay, so we want numbers that are less than 90. Obviously, 170 and 80 are not less than 90. So we're going to use those two numbers. Okay, so SZE is between 0 and 10 degrees. Okay, and it's one tick mark before 10 degrees. Okay, so if you count from 0 to 10, the number that comes right before 10 is 9. Okay, so angle SZE is 9 degrees. Okay, last angle, angle SZG. Okay, so I have SZG. Okay, that one's a larger angle. It's larger than 90 degrees. It's opened more than that. Okay, so we need numbers that are greater than 90 degrees. It's open to the right. Okay, so remember when it's open to the right, we want to use the bottom numbers. If you can't remember that, just use the other trick I told you. Okay, that's an obtuse angle, so I want the numbers that are greater than 90. Well, 70 and 80 are not greater than 90. 110 and 100 are, so we're going to use those two numbers. Okay, so we are between 100 and 110 degrees. Okay, so you can see, if I kind of use the same tick marks here, I'm 2 tick marks before 110. Okay, so if I take 2 away from 110, that gives me 108. So this angle would measure 108 degrees. Okay, now moving on to measuring tricky angles. Okay, so like I said a while ago, all of the angles that we just worked with had a ray that started at 0. See, this ray started at 0 when we were measuring this angle. This ray started at 0 when we were measuring this angle. Okay, but we don't always have angles that work that way. Sometimes they are, like I say, up in the air. Okay, so to find these, all you need to do is find the difference between the two rays. Okay, and we know that the word difference means to subtract. Okay, so to solve these types of problems, all we have to do is subtract the two rays. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. All right, so we're going to read the top numbers because here's the thing. When you're using this strategy, you have to use either both the top numbers or both the bottom numbers. You can't use one top number and one bottom number and subtract those. You have to be using the same ones, either 2 top numbers or 2 bottom numbers. Okay, so we're going to stick with the top numbers just to make it easy. Okay, or the numbers on the outside. Okay. We'll label those, and then we're going to find the difference between those two by subtracting. Okay. All right, and of course, whenever we're subtracting, we always have to make sure the larger number is on top. Okay, so first we're going to start with angle EAO. Okay, so this is what I mean. Okay, if I kind of trace over this EAO angle, you can see that you don't have a ray for this angle right here that starts at 0. So we can't start counting at 0, okay? So here's what I have to do. I'm going to use the outside numbers for each one of these, okay? So if I look out here, this ray is pointing between 30 and 40. Here's 35. 36, 37, 38. Okay, so E is pointing at 38 degrees. Okay, now let's go over here and see where O is. Okay, so O, see, is right on 65 degrees. It's halfway between 60 and 70. So O is going to be at 65 degrees. okay? So now I'm just going to take those two numbers and I'm going to find the difference or subtract. Remember, the larger number goes on top, so I'm going to put 65 up here, and I'm going to put 38 down here, and I'm going to subtract, give myself some more room over here. Okay. All right, so when we do that, we have 5 here, we have 15. 15 minus 8 is 7, and 5 minus 3 is 2. Okay, so angle EAO would measure 27 degrees. Okay, now if it's easier for you, you can definitely count the number of degrees that are in between these two rays. You can definitely do that. It's just much faster and more efficient if you subtract these two numbers. Okay, all right, now angle MAT. Okay, so MAT. Okay, so M is on 90 degrees exactly. Okay, A is on, it's halfway between 120 and 130, which is 125. Okay, so ray M is pointing to 90 and ray T is pointing to 125. Okay, so I'm going to set that up over here. Okay. Am I off? Oh, I'm off just a little bit. That should be 91 degrees. Sorry about that. Colored over it and couldn't see. This should be 91 degrees. Okay. Leave that one also. Okay. 5 minus 1 is 4. And then 12 minus 9 is 3. Okay. So the difference between those two rays is 34 degrees. That tells us that angle MAT is 34 degrees. And like I said, you're welcome to count all the tick marks from here to here. It just takes you a little longer to do that, but you can certainly do that. Okay, angle TAO. Okay, so I want from here to here to here. Okay, T, A, and O. Well, we already said that ray T is at 125 degrees. Ray O is at 65 degrees. Okay, good thing I labeled that so I didn't have to go back and look again. So I'm going to take 125 and subtract 65 from it. Okay, 5 minus 5 is 0, and 12 minus 6 is 6. Okay, difference of 60 degrees. So angle TAO represents 60 degrees. Okay, now angle RAE. Sorry, I get a message on my phone here. Let me clear it off. Okay, angle RAE. All right, where's RAE? R, A, and E. This way. Okay. All right, so we have E labeled already. E is at 38 degrees, so I'm going to fill that in. And R over here, okay? So we're going to use, for this sake, we're going to use the top numbers. I have 170, and I'm one tick mark past 170, which is 171. Okay, so now I'm going to take those two numbers and subtract them. Okay, I can't subtract that, gotta borrow. That becomes a 6, that becomes 11. 11 minus 8 is 3, 6 minus 3 is 3, and 1 minus 0 is 1. So angle RAE is 133 degrees. Okay, now angle MAO. Okay, so I have M, A, and then O. Okay, MAO. Well, I already know that ray M is pointing to 91 degrees and O is pointing to 65 degrees. So I just need to subtract those two. 91 minus 65. Can't subtract 1 minus 5, gotta borrow, that's 8. This is 11. 11 minus 5 is 6, and 8 minus 6 is 2. So angle MAO represents 26 degrees. Okay. All right. Thank you for watching. There will be more angle videos to come.